Welcome everyone, this is Dad Joke Cinema, and today for the weekly Palia update, we're going to be looking at two brand new posts, a letter from the game director Aiden, and a dev update for the month of August. We'll also have a little bit of news regarding monetization, and as something new that we'll be trying today, I'll be reading these posts and reacting to them as I do so. So without further ado, let's get started with the letter from the game director, Beta and Beyond. Greetings, Palians. Wow, I can't believe we're already 1 month into the beta. I also can't believe how much Palia so many of you have played. It's so heartening to see how many of you have found something that really speaks to you in the game, and all of the images and videos you've created are so inspiring to us as a development team. Thank you for all the feedback, however given, whether it's from a place of joy that you just can't help yourself but express, or one brought forth from frustration. We see you, and as a dev team that is always looking to bring you our best, we know that whatever you feel, we feel as well. And that's a good thing. So I'll say that as much as it's good to feel seen, to feel like the dev team is actually hearing your feedback, I think probably they don't feel as much frustration as some of the people have expressed that I've seen. There's a lot of frustration to go around and small pockets of the game population. I guess my view on it is basically that actions speak louder than words. So while it's nice to feel seen and to be seen, we'll have to see how that impact is being felt in the dev update that we'll look at later. We have the early stages of a great process developing internally that includes research, thank you to those that have received and completed one of our surveys, analytics, which allows us to learn from what you all actually do in game, and of course your direct feedback that has been very artfully aggregated by our diligent community team into a space in which our entire development team can quickly get a sense of the top hopes, dreams, and pain points that you're all discovering as you play. And that is referring to the entire feedback matrix that the community team has been putting together and presenting. We are expecting this week to get a update about how that's being presented and what's going to be upcoming. That could very well be the dev update that we're about to look at. This is the second letter in this format I've written, and you may be wondering what cadence you can expect updates from the development team, you can expect updates from the development team and or myself going forward. Well, today we want to commit to you that we'll be publishing at least one development update each month, but often more. These updates will focus on top topics in the community and specifically describe how we're responding to some of your feedback over the next few patches. There's another game, Kerbal Space Program 2, that came out in early access and certainly was not as progressed as some longtime Kerbal fans wanted the game to be. There were a number of bugs, there were some issues with the gameplay, and there were a lot of features that are on a long-term roadmap for the game that did not make it into the initial early access release. And they've done a good job so far of managing pretty frequent developer updates. They've done either specific technical updates and information about how bugs are progressing, bug fixes are progressing, but also they've done a lot of here's where we're at from a mindset perspective, here's what we're kind of focusing on, and here's what we're looking forward to coming up in the near future, as well as keeping people pretty well apprised on the cadence of patches that are coming out. So if Singularity 6 is able to follow a similar cadence to that and keep their feedback along that same line, then I think it will be good. The first of these developer updates talks about Decor interactivity. Oh, there we go. That's the big one that I've been yelling about for quite a long time, and so have other people. Storage, workbench improvements, and several other upcoming changes and additions. Check it out here. We will do that in just a moment. With those base level expectations covered, I'm excited to jump into my main topic for today. Now that we all have a much greater shared understanding of the state of Palia today, I think it will be a lot easier to talk about how we got here and what we expect Palia as a game to evolve to over the next year or two. When we were starting out, we knew that the vision for Palia was grand and it would take years beyond launch to fully achieve it. As such, we knew we had to focus on delivering a core experience that we could build from, taking steps each day towards achieving that greater vision. By now, I'm sure everyone can tell that the core experience we chose to focus on is very much steeped in the community simulation genre traditions. We've put a big emphasis on genre staples like housing customization, creating a world that oozes cozy vibes. I think they nailed that one. A suite of cozy skills and exciting non-player character interactions. That's why we've pushed on the bounds of multiplayer in our home genre so that we could make it even easier to play and do things with friends. We know we still have a ton to do to make Palia the best community simulation game it can be, and pursuing that will continue to be our core area of investment into the future. However, while we've been making progress on that core, we've also built a foundation and some of the accoutrements that players coming to Palia with MMORPG scale experiences and expectations might expect. But we know we're not there yet on the MMO side for a lot of players. I think that's an important thing to say. And for them to emphasize is that they recognize they're not saying that let me backtrack on that a moment. In the early Let's Play, the first gameplay review that they did, they said, look, this is an MMO, this is a cozy MMO, and then in their lead up to beta, they said, we are redefining what we consider the MMO genre, the cozy MMO genre. We're creating a new thing that we're going to be slotting into and redefining a lot of those expectations. However, they brought all of these MMORPG players in to this world with their expectation of having a cozy MMO game, and they did not provide the things that those MMO players were looking for. Whether or not you think that's fine, or whether or not you think that it's okay for them to do that, and that the game design can be different without those staples of MMO play, that's fine. But for a lot of players coming in, they had expectations that I believe were at least somewhat reasonable to have for a game with the MMO label. And so expressing that they feel that and they understand it and they're going to try to get there, then I think that's a very promising thing. Once again, actions speak louder than words. We'll have to see what the changes are going to be. As such, I want to stress that beta is not the end of Palia evolving and growing towards its ultimate potential. There's a common refrain I've seen that said that, yes, it's beta, but release is coming soon, as if the expectation is that once the release gets here, there will stop being growth in the game. And they seem to be clear on the fact that they're looking at more like a 10-year plan of increasing and developing the game and adding features to it, much like many MMOs, or even something I am loath to say it, but something like a project like Star Citizen or Kerbal Space Program 2 for that matter, which has built out more and more features. I think Astroneer's Early Access is a really great example of a game doing that very well, where they created a core gameplay loop that was satisfying, and then they added a whole lot of additional quality of life features and additional gameplay loops, a lot of additional elements to make the game, to give the game very long legs. And hopefully Palia and Singularity 6 can do the same sort of thing. So we have far more than just new content in our plans, with many exciting things coming soon for community sim and massively multiplayer players. Well, that's a mouthful. After all, can a community really live up to its potential without a challenge to overcome? It's something that a lot of people have said. They're mirroring a lot of the criticisms in this letter here. Without a home to call its own, without a way to show off your collective pride and accomplishments for all of Palia to see. Right here, they seem to be going back to the idea that they are going to be having some sort of community home in order for people to gather in and kind of have like a guild house. What good is an open world full of players if you can't converse with those in close proximity to you? They are acknowledging that they need to add local chat to the game. Indeed, what good is a chair if one can't sit in it? So I think we know what we're getting pretty soon here. Palia will never be a MMORPG, but we will continue to embrace Palia as a MMO. That's a very important distinction right there. Taking consistent steps and sometimes leaps towards meeting your expectations for what multiplayer and socializing can and should be, when we've built much of the tech to enable multiplayer experiences at that scale. For more details, and they say to check out the developer update again. Thanks for tuning in and being part of this cozy community. I hope the beta has brought you many fond memories. There's so much more to come from Aiden. And P.S. Tomorrow Wizard Crab will be addressing feedback regarding monetization that we've received recently, along with some upcoming updates. We'll also be opening up some Q&A opportunities to make sure we address additional feedback and questions from our community directly after the patch goes live tomorrow. So getting the patch tomorrow with new features for the Magi Market. The event that's going to be starting tomorrow. Additionally, tomorrow we'll be getting a new blog post about monetization. And some changes and updates that they're going to be doing. Now, let's move over to the dev update, August 2023. So this is the first of many dev updates for Palia. And they said in the other letter, just to reiterate that they're looking for at least once a month, hopefully more frequent than that. Hopefully we could get it on a weekly basis, in which case I might need to adjust the timing of the weekly Palia updates to coincide with that. Dev updates are regular check-ins from the Palia development team where we cover your most requested features and hot topics of the day. We aim to have these out to you at least monthly with respect to our current development status. While we won't be able to cover all of the excellent and helpful feedback we've received across Discord, Reddit, and socials and surveys, we are excited to kick this off by talking about some of the frequently requested features players have been asking about that are already in the works. So these are not things that they are saying, hey, we're going to start working on. These are things that they've already been working on and are looking to add this in soon. Coming soon, Decor and interactivity, lying down, and generally interactable furniture. So it looks like the first thing they're going to be adding interaction to is furniture, which makes sense. What players are asking for, more things to do with all of the decor you're collecting, particularly being able to sit on chairs, lay on beds, etc. And it's not just about being able to interact with the stuff and having the things in your house not be useless, but for RP, for a sense of immersion, for having friends over. There was an incredibly poignant statement I saw made, and I wish I had saved a copy of it, a screenshot or whatever, where somebody said that they were having a wonderful, cozy, relaxing time, all basically standing around a campfire. And that, I think, sums it up, is that if you can't sit and be cozy around a campfire and just kind of experience that feel, something that's so potent in a game like Animal Crossing, then you really haven't hit the mark on the coziness. What players are asking for, Decor interactivity has been on our wish list for a long time, and I'd like to say that I have been pushing it on their wish list for a long time, and we're finally jumping in head first. While we know the top request is for sitting on chairs, some technical hurdles have caused it to not be the first addition we're making in this area, but I had a whole script talking about the technical difficulties, why just taking a chair and using a software plugin to make a model look like it's sitting there is far from the only issue you have to deal with. You're talking about custom placed objects in a world where there's all sorts of things with clipping and animations that you have to have in place in order to make that work smoothly, unless if you just want to teleport somebody into a chair after you click in it, and I don't think that's the way they want to go with it. They're focused on overcoming and delivering that feature soon. They're actively working on sitting, laying down, turning lights on and off. I love that so much. Fantastic. Opening and closing cabinets and drawers, turning water on and off. To help hold you over until we deliver sitting on Decor, we will be adding a /sit and /kneel emote to your default loadout in the upcoming patches. So we're getting a pair of new emotes there. Kneel will be wonderful for all of those Hidari fanboys who want to kneel in front of their god. Improvement to the crafting workbench. There have been a lot of requests for menu and interface improvements to the crafting workbench. As players learn more and more Decor recipes, it can get pretty tedious to scroll through the menu if you want to make a few dozen candles, arrows, or smoke bombs. Robust workbench filtering and crafting and stacks is currently in development, and we aim to have this out in the next 2 months. Live issues could delay release, but these features are currently a priority. So great to see them putting actual time frames on fixes like this. So we're talking about, with the workbench, hopefully the ability to filter out things that you've made, things that you haven't made, things that you have the materials for currently, and a search function to look through them as well. That would be good. And then, of course, they said crafting and stacks, multi-crafting, being able to go in and instead of having to select arrows and then crafting the arrows and then going back into the workbench, finding arrows again, selecting arrows, hitting craft again. Instead of doing that, saying, I want to craft 4 stacks of arrows. If you have the materials, it lets you do it, crafts it all in a row, and then you pull out your arrows. The request system was intended to be a quick and easy way of altruistically helping out other players in your area or that you have an established social connection with. It's a gifting system. The current assessment of this iteration of the system is that it's not living up to its potential, so we're making the following set of changes over the next several patches. Allowing request fulfillment from storage anywhere. Increasing the clarity on request cooldowns. That's a big one. There's just kind of like a number on there and it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Reducing the cooldown sharply, meaning you'll be able to gift more. Adding the ability to request star quality items and very more likely to come, meaning they have more ideas that they want to add and they're just not ready to talk about them yet. Note, the request system is not meant to be a replacement or stand-in for an open trading system in Palia, which we will discuss more directly in a future blog post on economy. So this is something that I've always felt is that they've mentioned multiple times that they wanted to see how the game ran in a live operation status before they made certain changes to things like spawn rates and other things. And they've mentioned the economy of the game in the past. And I even had a comment that said, how can you possibly have an economy without trading? Well, there still is an economy even if it's not a player-to-player economy. And so it's clear now that they are looking for future trading between players with open trading, or at least some kind of system to assist with that, and they will be talking about it in the future once they've gathered more information about how people are playing the game currently. New character customization features. We've already announced that beards are on our list in the GD letter a few weeks ago. Yes, thank you. We've verified that some of the performance concerns with adding those for lower-end machines have been brought within budget, so we look forward to a world full of furry faces in a Palia near you very soon. I want to say that if you don't have the machine for beards, then you just don't get beards. You should have just given me the beards that I deserve. I'm settled down. I'm happy about. I'm a guy who has a beard. I apparently have based my entire personality around it now because they weren't in this game. I typically have characters that have beards. If I'm playing a character in which a beard is available, then I will slap a beard. Regardless of how else they look, I will slap a beard on that character. Lighter skin tones are also a very popular request and very much on our short list. They have actually been blocked for a while due to lighting concerns. Specifically, lighter skin tones appear blown out by our current lighting at various times of day. Luckily, we have an experienced lighting artist looking into not just enabling these lighter skin tones, but also a variety of lighting improvements across the play experience that will be coming in over time. So, to whoever it was who said that they didn't put lighter skin tones in on purpose, there's your response to that. It was a technical issue. I don't think I can say any more than that, except that I witnessed that as well, and now they're working on fixing it. Of course, you wouldn't even be able to make this change without another hotly requested character customization feature add, the ability to customize core aspects of your character post-character creation. We will add this feature alongside the first new feature or content that requires it in order for existing players to experiment with the new options. So, as soon as they add something like beards or new skin tones or anything else that is a new feature that is a character customization feature, they will also add the ability for your character to customize those core aspects of your character at the same time. So you won't get left out or have to restart your character or any of those things. Gardening, ability to destroy crops to rearrange soil plots. Yes, thank you. Did you plant a seed in the wrong plot? This is actually incredibly easy to do with their system. Maybe you just earned a new crop and want to try it out right away. Well, another quality of life feature currently in development is the ability to destroy your crops so that you can rearrange your plots right away. We'll be sure to share all of the details of how this works in the patch notes when it releases. We don't currently have a hard date attached, but it is in the works. Finishing the temple quest. For folks who have been playing through, you've probably completed one of the first temples that Gina wanted you to investigate and are thirsty for more. If not, don't worry, take your time getting there, but for those who have, you'll notice that there are a couple more spots in the Night Sky Temple that haven't been activated. You'll be happy to know that we're continuing to add on to that story as we update the game. We hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and we're excited to give you more. You can think of what we've delivered as simply the prologue to a story that we hope to bring to players as long as you'll have us. We're so excited for you to experience the things we have in store. And of course, we all know you want to redact it. More on this soon. We have a love and pickaxe, some fire, and a dog. So you want to put together puzzles with Hodari and tell Tao that you love fire. So there you go. That's the clue, the clear clue, and that they have right there. On the horizon, we still have a lot of work to prepare for the upcoming release on Switch, the exact date TBD, and continuing to improve our server stability and queue times. We've made a lot of strides in these first 3 weeks since open beta started, and I'll just say really quickly, they have. Like, that's not just them pumping themselves up. When you compare even the stress tests and then the early closed beta operations, and then especially what happened right after open beta launched, there was a lot of server fixes that had to happen, and it seems like everything's been incredibly stable for the last week or so since then, and that's really impressive. But we know there's still a lot to do. Here's just a few additional features we have on our radar for release in the coming months. So this looks like they're talking about potentially within this year. They're talking about proximity text chat, which has been a incredibly highly requested feature. Maintaining chat history across map transfers. Tomorrow, they're saying that you will maintain your chat history across map transfers. That's not on the horizon, my guys. Tomorrow is very near. It's very close. Deeper permission controls for friends on your housing plot. That's a very good thing. Community progression, activities, and more. So they're finally working towards giving some meat to the communities as opposed to just being a chat for your friends. Updates to flow tree availability, and more things to do multiplayer. Hot topics and notable bugs. While beta is expected to come with a fair amount of stumbles, there were notable issues and missteps that impacted a lot of players, namely a bug where housing plots overlapped and a bug fix that impacted many players' storage situation in a highly unintended manner. A major bug that came up was causing players' crops and other items to merge into a fellow player's plot, which then allowed those players to harvest the wayward crops. The frustration with this bug was heightened by reports that some players could come to your housing plot uninvited and mess with your items. Palia is meant to feel like your home away from home, and any instance of an unwanted visitor to that home immediately takes away that feeling of safety. I read a report where somebody said that they were doing stuff inside and just saw somebody walk past their window, and it just like freaked them out, and I think that's the most salient and profound way of experiencing that particular bug. This goes against the very foundation of what we want to achieve in Palia and was treated as a high priority internally. Both of these reported concerns were addressed in a hotfix during patch 0166, which we have observed fixed the issues reported. We've also kept the security work going to ensure that you are preventing instances of like this happening in the future. If you are affected by this, continue to contact them. Storage in Palia has broadly been a hot topic in the community, and it's something that we expect will be making some notable updates in order to address some of the core points of the feedback. In this post, we specifically want to talk about a bug fix to our storage system that greatly impacted a lot of players. It has always been our intention that a player only has to go through the storage progression arc a single time on their character. To support this alongside our multiple house plot feature, we've set up things so that your storage items still contribute to your storage capacity even when you're not using the plot you've actually placed them on. Specifically, we wanted to enable the freedom of decorating a housing slot with as few or as many storage access points on it as you desired. You could have a plot where you have a design, maybe a garden or a gazebo in the woods, and you wouldn't have to have storage chests all over the place in there. This opened us up to an unfortunate miss in our validation process, followed by a miss in how we rolled out this fix into the live game. We shipped with a bug in which players could subvert the storage placement limit by placing storage chests in other plots. We then fixed that bug, but many players had already utilized the bug as to place a number of additional wood tier chests on this plot. When we quote-unquote fixed the bug, many of these players were suddenly in a state in which they had more items in their storage than the limits allowed them to have. This forced players to figure out what to do with items in their storage to get themselves back under the current storage capacity. Additionally, obtaining the copper tier storage upgrade is very expensive, so wasn't an option for many players at that time. So, you would put, say, 8 chests in your main area, you would fill them up, you were somehow able to then place additional chests in your other lots, and that increased your total storage beyond the base set that you were supposed to be able to have. Then they fixed the bug, but now you had all of your storage, say however 11, 12, maybe more chests filled up, and you weren't able to use those anymore because of the way that they had fixed the bug. Even though you could pick up the storage items while over capacity without issue, it was a mess and severely impacted the player experience. When we rolled that fix out to players without support to help players that would be affected by the change, and without sufficient alerting to the players that they would be in a difficult state. So they rolled it out and they didn't do a good job of communicating or having a support tool in place for it. We also should have provided better clarity for how players could get out of the situation, or better yet, created a way to adjust the live game without putting those players into a broken state to begin with. All good options. Communication, make it so they don't get broken in the first place, any of those things. Sharp lessons were learned in this process, and we sincerely apologize to those affected. Expect upcoming changes to take better account of the live player experience in the future. It's hard to say when we have 2 major communication updates. It's hard to criticize them for their communication, but that was the problem. They needed to communicate that entire situation better. That doesn't put a dent in the hundreds of other features and improvements we have planned and that you've asked for. Like our game director says, as a player, you can take it as a commitment to you that the best version of Palia is always in front of us. That's why we'll be pulling back the curtain by providing more updates like this regularly. In the meantime, keep letting us know what you want to see, whether it's in the Palia's Discord, Twitter, Reddit, or Facebook. Hope to see you there. So, sitting, lying down, interacting with furniture, new sit and kneel emotes, improvements to the crafting workbench, multi-crafting items, better request system, UI, character customization features including beards, all of this coming out pretty soon. Sounds like they're starting to listen to a lot of the things that have been said and are working on making this more into the game that I think they have always wanted it to be. What's your favorite part of this? What are you looking forward to the most? What do you think about their new communication tactics? How does it all feel to you? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, have a great day.